Seeing your articles about changing the tanks from Tier 7, I've decided to make a rant video about it, because these ideas are bad, and will confuse the players, and at the same time, they won't solve the problems. And at the end of this video, I will explain how to actually balance tanks. Also I will make 2 more videos about the clickers, I mean artillery, and another one about mechanized infantry. The problem is that you want to change main game mechanics that are working well since they was introduced to the game. In the past few years, Wargaming tried to do the same in World of Tanks, but at the end, they refused them because those changes were bad, and only a few of them went to the game. So let's get started. You are starting to rebalance tanks from Tier 7, but the problems are starting in Tier 4 and 5. You are saying that a fully upgraded Tier 4 tank is equal a fully upgraded Tier 5 tank. This is mostly true, but on the Soviet and Chinese MBT line, there is a problem. By the NATO tank side, the Tier 5 tank is the upgraded version of the Tier 4, but by the side of the Soviet and Chinese MBTs, the Tier 4 tanks are based on T-55, and the Tier 5 tank is a T-80, T-72, or a Type 85-M. And while the NATO tanks are badly armored, slow, equipped with 105mm guns, the Soviet and Chinese tanks are faster, having a really good armor, and a 125mm gun, so in 1 versus 1 situation, the NATO tank sucks below Tier 6. These tanks are advanced too fast, but in Tier 6, the NATO tanks are finally got the Leopard 2 and the Abrams. And after this tier, the progression is slowed down until Tier 10. So between these tiers, the MBTs got a progression that is only about getting better stats without a grand new feature. So if the player is not a potato bag, he can play effectively against a tier higher tank. In Tier 10 the NATO tanks finally got an autoloader, so the reload time of those tanks doesn't sucks anymore. But it is a fact that a NATO tank still loses against a Soviet or Chinese tank because the Soviet and Chinese tanks having the same, or even better mobility. Weak spots, but they are very small compared to more armored, but huge weak spots on NATO tanks. Higher damage with faster reload time, and the same penetration thanks to the autoloaders they have. And they have better replaced TRA bricks. So the only greater progression is between Tier 9 and 10, and there is also tanks that didn't having it, like the Chinese and Israeli MBTs in Tier 9 and 10 are the same, but with better stats in Tier 10. And it is clear that you should change specific tanks, instead of changing all class roles. These changes are actually not that bad, except the MBT changes. You are saying that MBTs got strong in all aspects, like view range, mobility, accuracy, etc. Well, this is how they should perform. They are designed to be like this: armored, fast, precise, and to be able to look for targets by themselves, while other classes are focused to do one specific thing. Like AFVs are designed to scout, and to support infantry and MBTs, tank destroyers to hide and hunt, and light tanks to be cheap MBTs. And about the new MBT APFSDS changes, I have only one word: bullshit. In reality, an APFSDS round will lose around 40 to 70mm of penetration into kilometers, and as heavier a shell is, as smaller the decrease of its penetration. This is simple physics. So after the patch, a 152mm frozen vodka bottle fired from a Blautwagen's communism launcher by Blautmann himself will lose more percent of its penetration than a non-MBT 30mm APFSDS shell. Are you serious? Do you think it will stop the MBT camp? Also, there is a lot of situations where you must camp because your team sucks very hard, and as you would go a bit, you will get slaughtered by well-balanced MGM 166s and Wilks, and basically any other enemy tank. So your team will suck more, because you won't penetrate enemies. Well done. This idea is almost as good as Operation Barbarossa. And this is the same when you get the Grindelwald map, and no matter if you are winning or losing, you must fire at targets at 600 or 700 meters away, even if you are not camping, because the map is big and open. ERA. This article is far the best out of 4, but still contains bullshit, so let's review it. The protection of the ERA against machine guns and autocannons is really good, but it should be changed a bit by making stronger that aspect as the generation is bigger. Like first generation should be immune against autocannons up to 20mm, second generation against 25mm, third generation against 30mm, and the fourth generation should offer immunity against 40mm cannons. The other changes are also good, but the HESH shells are performing awful against any spaced armor, and even a 8mm rubber plate on the lower plate of the T-80B can stop the Challenger to ATDU's 140mm HESH shell, but you are changing it, like first generation doesn't offer any protection against it, while the ERA also performs like a spaced armor. So even the first generation ERA should offer 100% protection against both HESH and PISH. Conclusion. These articles contain some good ideas, but these are not the right way. You should balance specific tanks that are too bad or too good, so there is a list of these tanks and the changes they need. Soul Screamer's tanks, Merkava Mk1, the reload of one shell should be reduced from 10 to 8 seconds, and the intra-clip reload from 4 to 3 seconds, and the tank should get the M735A1 APFSDS. Merkava Mk4, the tank should get the DM53A1 shell with 750mm of penetration, and should lose 50% of its ammo load when the mortar squad is equipped. Merkava Mk4M, the tank should lose 50% of its ammo load when the mortar squad is equipped. Sophie Wolfley. Fox, the damage of one APFSDS shell should be 40. M1A1. 9.5 seconds of reload, and 72 km/h top speed. Leopard 2. 8.5 seconds of reload. Warrior, PMC 381 Pele round instead of the L58 HESH, the damage of one APFSDS shell should be 40. VBL Ingui, the tank should be able to have 2 ATGMs in the air at the same time. M1A2, the tank should have 9 seconds of reload and 72 km/h top speed. Leopard 2 Evo, the tank should have 8 seconds of reload, and the DM53A1 shell with 800mm of penetration. Leopard 2 Revo, the tank should have 8 seconds of reload. VBR, the tank should be able to have 2 ATGMs in the air at the same time. Bradley, the tank should have 900 rounds of ammunition, and the PMC 384 Pele round. M1A2C, the tank should get a frontal armor buff, since it has the same armor as the Tier 8 tank, 72 km/h top speed, and 750mm of penetration. Leopard 2A6, the tank should have 7.5 seconds of reload. Crab, its clip should have 100 or 200 rounds. XM1A3, the tank should have 70 km/h top speed with gas turbine, and better acceleration. Murat Shishkin, Al Hussein, the tank should have 8.5 seconds of reload. Zhang Feng, OT-64, the tank needs a much better mobility, and 25 damage with autocannon, and also a pre-installed ATGM. BVPM2, the tank should have 900 rounds. ZBL-08, the tank needs better mobility. Rosamac, the tank needs better mobility, and 900 rounds. Rosamac M1M, the tank needs better mobility, and 900 rounds. Francine de la Roche, Eriete, the tank should have 8 seconds of reload. Leclerc T-40, the tank should not have rate of fire booster modules like lighter bolt carrier, and improved loading mechanism. Only 360 rounds should be carried, the armor should be maximum 50mm on T-turret front, and 80 on the lower plate. The tank should have 63 km/h top speed, hit points should be reduced to 2000, and also, remove the ability to use a failure as commander. Leclerc T4, the tank should have 10 seconds of reload. Other tanks, IS-7 and Objects 430 should be moved to Tier 3. XM247, remove the Pele round, or the turret armor should be 25mm thick, and also, remove the ability to use a failure as commander. Sabre, the tank should have 40 damage of APFSDS. MTLBS-8, the another carried 40 rockets should be removed, so the tank won't be able to reload. Replace the heat MP round with normal heat, 1.5 seconds reload between shots, Reduce the hit points to 1450, make the gun more accurate, and also, remove the ability to use a failure as commander. Sabra Mk2 and the M60-2000 should be moved to tier 6. M1A1 AIM should be moved to tier 7. Pindad, the tank should carry 16 rockets as reserve, so 32 in total, 1.5 seconds of reload between shots, and also, remove the ability to use a failure as commander. Mardata, the tank should use 20 round clips with 10 seconds of reload. The rate of fire should be 200 rounds minute. The maximum armor should be 55mm. The tank should have 1800 hit points and also, remove the ability to use a failure as commander.